everybody, it's Chris Shubert coming to you live from Oklahoma City for our first live and in-person Zoom, where we zoom in on thought leaders in the channel today. My guest is Terry Patrick from Hypercore. Terry's been a good friend of CNSG for many years. I'm super excited to have him here. So, Terry, let's kind of start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what fires you up about being at Hypercore.
Sure, yeah. So I got into technology based on the networking, server, storage side of industry for almost a decade before I even started touching telecom. So it's a world of difference coming from that side over to this side, but it's been a wonderful change as well. Luckily, I've been fortunate enough with the Hypercore team that I have that we're all friends at the end of the day, and that's kind of how we started that practice to begin with. So it's made it real easy for a transition.
So Hypercore, for not necessarily a household brand with a lot of our suppliers today, but a popular one even though. So tell us a little bit about who Hypercore is today.
Sure. And so we are an aggregator, a wholesaler. We work with hundreds of different fiber providers, close to 50, 60 different cable providers at this point in time, hundreds of different wireless providers for line-of-sight fixed wireless, which is a really big thing for us. So it's really started to set us apart from others just based on the carriers that we simply have in our portfolio.
So you look at the aggregators, I've often called them, the all-in-ones, the folks that can do a little bit of everything and bundle it all together in one bill. It is a somewhat crowded space.
Sure.
If you mentioned that you have a heck of a fixed wireless portfolio that others don't have access to.
Yep.
You've also made some inroads in the last several years with 4G LTE.
Absolutely.
And you have a very unique spin on that product when it's bundled together with one of your access services. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so with us, we did ours differently from the beginning. So as long as we have a primary circuit, I don't care if it's a DSL circuit, a fiber circuit, or just a simple coax circuit, as long as we have one of those primary circuits, you want our 4G backup, $79 a month, unlimited data. And we did it that way because at that point it behooves us to really make sure that we're getting that other circuit back up, running, functioning the way that it should. Because at the end of the day, we could charge all day long on overages and outages, but the customer doesn't want to see that, and at the end of the day we want happy customers.
And you nailed it right there. Is in the 4G LTE space, overages are a real concern, especially when they're done as a backup circuit, or we've seen SD-WAN implementations occasionally that aren't maybe programmed properly, and you end up with that $15,000 bill, which nobody likes.
Yep.
So transition a little bit to SD-WAN, because
Sure.
you have built yourself up as Hypercore Networks. You've got all these different transports you have available to you, including the 4G LTE and the fixed wireless that we chat about. But with SD-WAN, you recently went into a new partnership with CloudGenix,
Yes.
offering a version of that product not available anywhere else. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so really the way that we are positioning the CloudGenix relationship has been great so far. We've gotten a lot of traction with it, but what makes it different is we are actually taking that first line of support for it. We're going to be doing the implementations, the management in the long run. So that takes that off of the customer's plate for them to really have to be able to focus on that when we're doing it for them. So I think that's given us a big advantage in that CloudGenix space for us to be able to run with that product set.
Wholeheartedly agree with you. CloudGenix, for those that aren't aware, is one of the premier SD-WAN platforms, but it's always been one that has really been tailor-made for the folks that have an established IT staff and are looking for a product to buy. In fact, a lot of times people would buy CloudGenix outright rather than as a service, mainly because it's designed for those customers to really manage and take care of themselves. Hypercore has literally brought this product to a whole new level with CNSG to where you can actually sell it as a managed service and know that someone's going to pick up the phone at the end of the day, help them with the configuration, help them with the support, and take advantage of all the neat bells and whistles that you exactly offer.
And it's been a strategic relationship from the very beginning, where we started talking with CloudGenix, how we started running down that path, what made sense for them, what made sense for us. And really, I think that partnership has just grown since then.
So let's take a look at the customers that that Hypercore has at their disposal. When you look at the sweet spot for a Hypercore customer, obviously you're positioning yourself as the alternative to the larger Lex, the boutique customer service and the stuff that we all love to chat about. But really for you, what is the sweet spot for Hypercore? What's a Hypercore customer look like?
So multi-site is definitely where we strive. That's really where you're going to see the most bang for your buck at the end of the day. And the reason for that is inside of our portfolio, everybody knows the carriers like Spectrum or some of the others that float out there. If you're coming to me with a single site Spectrum deal, probably not going to be the best fit for you. But if you're coming to me with a project with 40 locations and 15 of those may fall in the Spectrum footprint, at that point in time, we now have that buying power between the other carriers within that project to really put something together and put a package that makes sense for a customer. On top of that, when we sell out a project like this, we also manage and monitor every single one of those circuits. So we'll ping it every 30 seconds to make sure there's uptime on it. It's proactive monitoring from 24/7 with our knockout of Costa Rica with all CCNA certified engineers. And so it's been a big advantage for us to be able to push down that path.
And that is something that I think the CNSG partners are really starting to realize. Many of these Zooms this year, we've talked about the value of the pure play operation. But there's also the value of that all-in-one carrier that can take that SD-WAN and deliver the customer one bill, one back to pack, because this is getting choked, and really deliver that complete SD-WAN promise to the customer. And I think that is something that sometimes gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
But if that customer is looking for someone to manage all those circuits as well as that SD-WAN solution, as well as the security stack that you guys have. Hypercore obviously jumps to the head of the game as one of those carriers that does it all. You mentioned Costa Rica, which I think is very interesting to me because many carriers out there use overseas for support, and most of them try to hide it. Then there's others that are really big. We're born and bred in the U.S. This is all we're at. You guys have always been very upfront about Costa Rica being a part of your strategy. What does that bring to the Hypercore family?
Well, Costa Rica has been a huge part of our success, whether it's from the pricing team or it's from the support team, whatever the case may be. The reason for that is they're in Costa Rica. I mean, they haven't had their own standing army, I believe, since 1958. They dumped everything back into education. So all of our people that work with us speak English, and some of them speak multiple languages, multiple degrees. All of our engineers, you have Cisco Global School that sits over there, HP, a couple others. So we have a talent pool that we can pick from at any given point in time to bring them on board. That really sets it apart. It's not like you're calling into one of these overseas call facilities and go, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's not like that at all. Our engineers are very, very sharp. They take that problem from start to finish. Matter of fact, 99% of the time, our support is flat tiered, which means the person who picks up the phone will take that from start to finish regardless of the product set. So the escalation piece to it is so minimal inside of our organization. I mean, literally, if that engineer can't pick it up, it's going to the manager of the NOC, Michael Simpson. If that's not going to work, it's going to the operations manager or anybody else over there that's just top level. I mean, we only have about 3 different seats for escalation, really.
And in full disclosure, I got a chance to visit the Hypercore offices a few months ago, and the thing that was kind of blown away, not only with the culture and the people in Costa Rica, was it was a happy NOC. There were a lot of folks there that not only seemed to really enjoy their jobs, but they really enjoyed helping customers. And having worked in multiple call center environments in my tenure, you don't generally see that. You generally see a lot of folks really questioning their existence in those cubes. And Hypercore, that wasn't the case. Everyone was fabulous, fired up, and focused.
Well, another difference is that they are actual Hypercore employees. They are Hypercore badged employees. They're not contractors that we're pulling together to try to get something done. They work with us from start to finish on any and all projects that we work on.
So turning back to you for a second, I recently did a survey of our different suppliers that are in the CNSG portfolio, and your name came up a couple of times as one of the folks that people just enjoy working with. and they have a lot of fun working with the entire Hypercore team.
Sure.
What do you attribute that to? What makes you happy about working in this channel, which gets a little crazy dealing with customers? And what is a partner going to get out of working with Terry and the team?
Well, people may think that we are joking or we're not being serious when we talk about, like, we are just one big family over on our side to it. The majority of us were friends before anything started with Hypercore, before we started building that piece up. And honestly, it's just grown from there. And so me personally, I get to go into work with my best friends that I have, and we're able to put some stuff together that, quite frankly, does what many of these larger organizations can do with a much better solution that just gives somebody that, I guess, as you would say, that happy feeling when doing it, because it's honest, it's true. We are flexible. We try to listen to what the customers are talking about. If we have to go outside of the box, that's really where we start to strive. So, we're not afraid of the solutions when they say, hey, we need a circuit in the middle of Lake Michigan that only needs to be there 2 months out of the year where other people would run, and we say, hey, you know what? Let's take a look at it. Let's see what we can do. Let's figure something out. So that's just the kind of stuff that we win on, that we strive on. And quite frankly, our team as a whole, we really enjoy that kind of creativeness or that thought process that we have to really be able to put into finding a solution for something like that.
Outstanding. Great answer, and I'm just stuck on Hypercore, #happy-filling. Remember that one. So let's talk about one of those happy customers. We always like to talk on the Zoom about, what is a good case study for you guys. So tell us a story.
I'll tell you, probably our biggest success and biggest win, was a large retail shop that, we're about 1,200 locations into it now, and matter of fact, we just had some meetings in the past couple of days on this with the customer, and they're just blown away with the overall support, the thoughts that went into this particular project set. Everything that we did, especially collaboratively with another group that we went in with this project to, and how closely we actually work hand in hand with another group for a project. That kind of thing is just huge for us. So you talk 1,200 locations in, with a lot more to go. But again, it was that flexibility, out of the box thinking that really drove that project and got us to where it was. So that's definitely a great feather in the cap that's won us a lot of accolades with what we do and how we do it and why it makes sense.
Well, for the folks that are watching this or listening on the podcast, hopefully they've been fired up by what you shared with us today and are interested in learning more about Hypercore. What's the best way for a CNSG partner to reach out?
One of the easiest ways that you can do it is, if you wanted to send an email over for a particular request, cnsg@hypercorenetworks.com. Goes straight to my team, goes to Eve Hoffman, who runs the CNSG account, and digs through that entire side with my quoting team in Costa Rica and starts pushing down the project set.
Outstanding. Well, I do hope that our teams reach out to you. Terry, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for being a guest on the Zoom. And for those watching at home, we'll see you next week on the Zoom.